6.
Discuss Ossipee Tower. So we had the Forest Service that came in and looking to do something with the tower.
I just pulled up the tax map. Bob Carroll still owns that property up there. And, you know, Bob was Harold Carroll's son and the owner of Saco River Talentel and Saco River Cable and Star Cellular and all of that stuff. So it's got to be a very long thing that goes back with that. But Bob was, you know, a pretty good friend of the town of Waterboro, so I'm sure if we could do something with the Historical Society or whatever, I think that it probably is an opportunity to at least keep access up there. But anyway, he's the one that owns it. I just think we've got to be careful we don't
Get it
buy a
done,
pig in
so.
the poke, so to speak. You know, I'm not sure what's wrong with it now. So. It'd be nice to talk to Jason, I guess, to find out what, and Matt, to see what their view of the value of keeping it would be, other than the historical significance of it. But I guess until we find out if there's somebody interested, I'm not sure that we ought to take any action, right? By the sounds of it, I'm not sure the state forest is ready to offer them either, but.
That'd be interesting, whereas it is on a National Historic Registry. I would be surprised if they could actually tear it down.
I don't think that, I mean, it's like the National Historic ox yoke. I don't think it has a whole lot of governance. It's just a recognition of items or places. And as I have read about these fire towers, there's no money. There's no money out there. It's volunteers and interested groups, but, you know, I could be wrong.
We could set a water slide up on it. Charge it. We use it for 2 weeks a year in August.
So what would the board like to do with this, if anything?
Well, I think to follow up what Dennis said and see if anybody's interested in that.
I think we ought to at least pass it by the Historical Society. I mean, we do that to the land trust, but I don't think the land wants it. They wouldn't,
No,
there's
the
no
land,
land,
right,
right? So,
and land trusts typically steer clear of structures.
yeah.
Well, how much land are we talking? Is it just the land that the tower itself sits on? or is
No,
it-
there's-
He owns 83
there is-
acres. He ain't gonna give that up. He rents that property to everybody else that's got towers up there.
Oh.
So there's no land with the tower, it's just the
The only land is where the four posts meet.
Not even that.
That
is
lot
owned by Ms.
19 on
Carroll.
map 7 is 83 acres.
So there's no land with the tower, it's just the structure itself and hopefully a lease agreement with the property owner to leave it there. So,
I think it would be good to get the word out. There's some people that might have some great ideas as to how that can be used. So, you know, first of all, and talk with Matt and the Historical Society, and then just kind of get the word out. Some people might come up with some pretty good ideas.
okay. How about I'll throw a tickler on our agenda for sometime in June, and maybe we can, by then, get some feedback from Matt, get some feedback from Jason, let the Historical Society know about it, and then kind of maybe bring everybody together for discussion in June, and see where we go from there. Next on the agenda, discuss vote to reconsider the Bornstein Consent Decree. So we had those folks in here tonight, just a little back history of the property. Originally, the violation was found by the Code Enforcement Office. They were sent a letter to bring the property into compliance. Eventually, there was a consent decree that was agreed to between the town and the Bornsteins. It was originally in December, and then the final approval was in February, with them paying a fine of $1,000 and having the property brought into compliance with some concessions by the town by May 31st. So two things that they're asking for. First, they're asking for an extension on the time that they have to have the work done. And secondly, they're asking for an amendment to the consent decree that allows them some sort of structure or patio or blocks or whatnot that would be beyond the 30% that they can legally have from the town.
I think that the two issues, the easiest one is backing it off for maybe 30 days, maybe go into July 1, something like that. And then beyond that, I'd be really reluctant to okay anything that could get us with a problem with DEP and beyond the 30%. So I would see a denial on that end and okay to extend it for 30 days.
So is that a motion, John?
That would be a motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right, discussion.
Okay, that 30%, Patty, is that the drip edge and eaves, or is that the
It's on square feet of usable space that includes decks, patios, walkways, that's all attached to the house, or cubic feet. Then that's all incorporated inside as measured from outside of the house. They've been given their 30% maximum expansion allowed. They could apply for a variance to the zoning board for a variance to 30% if they want to do that. That's an option they have. They'd have to prove hardship, but that's,
Any other discussion?
Okay, would you repeat the motion?
The motion is to give them until July 1, so extend it until July 1, and then deny the maintenance of the
30%.
patio, the 30% on the patio.
So basically, it's leave the consent agreement we originally entered to as is with the extension of
That, yes.
30 days, or to July 1. All right, any other discussion? All those in favor, sorry?
There's, in the report done by the code enforcement officer, there is specific mention of the construction of the rain garden, and it was brought up again during the discussion tonight. How would that rain garden impact our decision tonight if we were to grant the extension, but would it, and if we kept with the consent decree, would that null their opportunity to build a garden?
yes. Because they proposed, we accepted their proposal to plant grass where they had constructed a patio.
Okay, so their option of having a rain garden would be out the window.
Right,
But they could apply for a variance, right?
right.
They could come back and say,
They could come back.
we've changed the thought process, but I think given what we have in front of us, which is we're gonna plant grass, that was the consent decree, it was supposed to have been done by May 31st. What they're saying is the May 31st date is a constraint, plus they thought somebody was gonna go change the legislation, but that would have to happen at the state level and then at the local level.
Yeah, that's a
So
dual
that's
process.
a real stretch.
But wouldn't they been, it wouldn't cover them, correct? Because the consent decree came under the old law.
Right,
Right.
even if we did vote to make a change to shoreline zoning that would make it legal now, I don't know that doesn't mean that they didn't violate the ordinances when they constructed it. But that's a stretch.
Yeah, I mean, I understand John's motion. I'm not sure they need an additional month. They've, talked about this since way back last year, right? I guess the consensus in a month, I mean, probably one way or the other, a couple of weeks, one way or the other, doesn't really matter, but the fact of the matter is that, if we give them until the end of June, and then they gotta like start now. Cause you can't grow grass in a week, or 2 weeks, right?
You could spray or sod
Well, I
in
think
6
that-
hours, right?
It says sod in what they provided us from Champion.
Can I just add that these conditions were what they proposed as a consent agreement. We didn't impose them on them, and we compromised by agreeing to it. I just think we need to be careful about, I don't really have a concern about giving them a month or not giving them a month, but the more we compromise, it seems like the more we're asked to compromise in my experience in this job. I just would voice a concern about compromising on top of compromising. Because it wouldn't surprise me if we were asked to compromise again. Maybe not in this case, but
You know, the thing that bothers me is, I don't think that they come in here with a clear reason of why they wanted the extension. I mean, first it's the weather, and then it's, well, because there's pending legislation, and then they kind of pluck at your heartstrings a little bit when they throw in the thing about the wedding and it wouldn't be ready, and so I'm inclined to agree with Patty that perhaps it should stand.
You shouldn't extend it.
That the consent agreement should stand. Now, I understand the change in Maine weather. If you don't like the weather, wait 15 minutes. And, you know, and we've certainly had a lot of rain, and I can see where it would make mud and stuff. But, you know, this is the 17th. They still got, you know, a good 2 weeks.
I just didn't see it would hurt us, the 30 days, and it may give them a chance to do the job better, rather than, trying to hurry it up and get it done in 2 weeks, and it could be 2 weeks of rain. So it just gives them a chance to do a better job.
I guess to what Dennis and Gordon are saying, though, they've got a lot of time to do this,
Yep.
to plan for it, and, you know, here we are, it's not done. The contractor said that he can avoid the newly planted grass from last year by using the walkways and whatnot, so it sounds like the contractor can work around that issue.
What was the date of the original consent decree? I know they were in
December,
Florida, right? So it went
December
back and-
7th is when we got the final draft from the attorney.
it seems like
then
I don't
it's-
have, I think it was in February.
And then February is when we finally, because it went back and forth a couple of times.
It's in the back, it's in your correspondence.
Well,
Yep, so it was February.
Yes.
Yeah, all I see in February was the quote from Champion Construction.
I think it was February 8th is when we signed it.
I understand they can't do the construction during the winter months. It's obvious that they had to wait until spring, and this has been kind of a wet spring, so.
Okay, can we call it?
2/8. 2/8 is when we signed the consent agreement, and they signed on 2/14. All right. So all those in favor of John's motion to grant a 30-day extension? All those opposed? Okay. So what, Dennis, you were in favor of the
Yeah.
motion, and you were in favor of the motion?
I'm in favor of the motion.
Okay, so it passed.
Based on that.
So could you just send them a letter, Patty, that says they've been granted a 30-day extension, but that's the only change?
Yep.
I think it should be clear that that's the final extension too.
The fine starts on the 1st of January,
I
the 1st of
You know,
July.
if there's a real effort that they want to do something that maybe the DEP has recommended in this rain garden, then I think that certainly something that we could take into consideration here, whether it's a rain garden or grass. You know,
That's an issue with the planning board, am I correct?
No.
No,
It's-
it would be,
It's the consent decree specifically said it would be a grassed-in area. That's what we approved. So they would have to come back and say that based on the feed, on information they've got from Patty and the DEP, they would rather do this. I think that's a pretty quick
That's a-
decision
that's a
on our
separate
part,
issue.
right? But they still gotta come back.
yes.
All set? Okay. Next, discuss vote to initiate legal action. Patty?
This is, I'm asking the board to authorize legal action against property at 198 West Shore Road on map 35, lot 6. There was a deck violation. A notice of violation was sent out. They appealed that to, administrative appeal to the zoning board. That was denied. Their time to bring that denial to court has lapsed, and the deck is still there. So in order to get enforcement on this property, the board's gonna have to, we're gonna have to take them to court. And I need a vote to initiate that.
Now, will that action by us include the fact that we recover fees or costs, or how's that?
We typically request the judge to give us the fees for enforcing a violation when someone refuses. And the one time that we've done it since I've been here, we've gotten our attorney fees plus a fine.
So John made a motion. Is there a second? David second. Any discussion? All those in favor? Okay.
Thank
All
you.
set? All right. Next on the agenda, discuss vote blast from the past liquor license renewal. It was in our packets this week. This is not the first renewal that we've had from them. We have had an inspection done by the CEO and the fire department, and all was found to be in order. We haven't received any complaints that I'm aware of on this establishment, so what's the pleasure of the board?
Motion to grant the application.
Your second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Okay. Next on the agenda is discuss vote Asian Taste liquor license renewal. Again, CEO and the fire department have gone out and done the inspection. This is a renewal, so we don't have to have a public hearing. Everything was found to be in compliance. Have we received any complaints in the past year? So what's the pleasure of the board?
Move it, we accept the
Second.
licensing.
Any discussion? All those in favor? All right. Discuss vote Parks and Rec outstanding
Could
balances.
we move this to the end of the warrant, end of the agenda?
Do we really want to have him in here much
Can we
longer?
move this before
Oh,
8
he's
o'clock so we can
very
watch
quiet.
hockey?
All right, last week when Mike came in to do his report, he indicated that he has some payments that are outstanding. He wasn't sure what the total was, but he thought it was around $5,000, so we asked him to provide us a list, and he has done so.
Yeah, it's a pretty complete list. I certainly didn't, with Funergy, we've got people that pay every week. We ask for payment on Friday. We have people that get paid bi-weekly, so we allow them to do that. So the people that are in their second week may in fact owe $70, but they've been making regular payments if you look at how I spreadsheet it out. So I didn't include those little people that are very active. And there's a few on here that are active as well. The Funergy piece I wrote the amount due and the amount paid, which really kind of doesn't jive, because if you're with us for the whole year, you might have a balance. You might owe $70 a week. You might have 2 kids that you owe $80 a week for because you just use me in the morning, or you might just use us in the afternoon. So it's a little bit, it might be a touch confusing when you look at it as a whole piece of work. But I tried to give you guys resident and non-resident. You see we've got 3 non-residents on there. We've got action on 3 different programs of ours. Day camp had about 82 kids in it last year, teen camp 30, and Funergy we've got a roster with about 35. And the due amount for the camps is pretty easy to come by. That's the full amount for camp for the course of the year and the amount that they paid. And once we get into the next fiscal year, we're swinging back around into a new camp season. We're of course getting phone calls from some of them. So, for example, if you come down to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, The eighth one down, there's a $60 balance. They're already registered for next camp, and they've made arrangements to kind of clear that up. So I don't know how you want to do it. I mentioned that we have a policy. There was a policy in place when I got the job in March of '01 that said that we will not allow registrations for any programs as long as there is an outstanding balance currently taking place. So if we're going to hold true to that, I wouldn't be able to accept any camp registrations from anybody on this list because they hold a balance in another program.
Sorry, Mike.
No, don't be, it's okay.
My concern, Mike, is,
Yeah.
you know, you got some that, the top half of this thing all really go back to last year.
Yes, I see, yes.
Kinda like, a few of them, the last activity was June, right?
Yeah, July, I see a couple of Julys and most of them are.
So I mean, you know, it's very obvious that that's unacceptable, that we allow anybody to carry a balance.
I agree,
beyond that, right?
I agree.
So,
We have, on those top 7, Dennis, they're all listed as day camp, which is our biggest program, our core program, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's 2 families on there that have been in contact with me fairly regularly. One of them is listed on both of our programs, and they've been very active with us and talking to me regularly. In fact, at last week's meeting, I said that they had told me that they really needed us for summer camp, but they just weren't going to have a way to be able to pay, so they were going to use the summer to get caught up with their outstanding balance, and because their most important thing for them would be to stay in Funergy next year, which will cost them $75 per week as soon as the school year begins, September 2 or 3 or whatever it's going to be. So they're carrying a balance for 2 programs, in fact, one that ended in August, and they're lugging a little bit of a balance through Funergy here, and their communication is such that I'm inclined to let them continue to make payments, and then if we get ourselves deep into August again, and they still have a balance, and we haven't changed our policy, I think probably I would need to speak with Nancy or to speak with some of you and see how you want to approach it. Certainly, they're going to need us for Funergy, and you get into a situation where, well, they had an $800 payment plan, they chipped away $650 of it, school's beginning, and then they're going to start incurring a $75 a week fee. It's up to you guys.
so here's my, I wanna take him out of this.
Absolutely.
So I'm gonna move that effective immediately, the only approval of a payment plan or waiving of payments is done by this board through the town administrator. I'd go to that extent, that he presents it to the town administrator, and if she can't make that decision, that that's in the best interest of what's going forward, then it comes to this board. Takes him out of the picture, he doesn't extend credit to anyone.
I second that. That was going to be my exact motion.
Okay. Any discussion on that?
Doesn't mean that if someone is in need, that we don't do exactly what's
No,
been happened in the
I
past.
think you're probably doing me a favor, Dennis. It's a
Right.
very.
Just got to take you out of
I
making
agree.
that decision.
It's a very difficult spot for me to be in. I've known these people forever, and and you mentioned it last week, John. I think it's probably the best thing to do. It takes the pressure off of me. Certainly, if you look at the last item on here, Dennis, I think that's the one that is the most difficult situation. You have something that takes place and you don't know how to react to it when it comes at you right away. Certainly Nancy's familiar, I think we all are familiar with it by now, what's taking place there. And that's the type of, I think that's the best thing to do. I think that's a great motion.
So that, I would extend the latitude to that, you know, if you need to, someone is requesting a payment plan, that is you know, you take that to Nancy. If Nancy's uncomfortable extending that, then it comes to the board, okay? But it at least takes, and there's a process that says, that they cannot come to you and just say, well, I can't pay this week, can I pay next week and whatnot. I think it's gotta be clear that I do not have the authority to do that.
It's great, yep, I appreciate that,
And-
yep.
And the other piece, which you already brought up, is that the registration, you know, you can't register in another program if you owe money.
Right,
I
right.
think that starts to go away if, in fact, that we limit those instances where someone is more than obligated to the town for past debts, so to speak.
Right, we've held pretty stern with that item. In fact, it's so well known that I really haven't had to impose it. I can think of 2 occasions where I had a family that had a balance, and I had to mention it 3 or 4 times because we got and this is probably 3 years ago now, we got ourselves into the next year and I had to say, you know, I can't take registration from you, you're lugging a balance, you have to make an effort to do that, and then they never call again. So it doesn't happen often. The other thing I would ask would be, is there a scenario where you're interested in charging interest similar to the tax burden on the town?
That's
To me, just another.
Yeah, it's just gonna make it more,
So,
right.
I think it's very, very upfront. If somebody says, can I pay this on a promissory note, or whatever the case may be, then it gets formulated, gets put together, it's done.
Yep.
I'm not suggesting that we prohibit anyone that needs the service and is not able to pay from participating. I think that we have a path to allow that to happen.
That's a great point, thanks, Dennis. Okay, guys?
All right, so
I'm not, I'd like to say something else, but go ahead on that vote.
we have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Okay.
Okay, on the non-residents, Mike.
Yes.
It amounts to about 20% of this balance here, outstanding balance, and the fundage is over half.
The non-residents, David, I only see 250, 100, and, oh, excuse me, I see
That's-
2.
$1,075, okay? My question is,
I see 3 non-residents on here, David, for a total of 975, yes, 975.
all right,
Yep. The balance, yeah, the balance on the 3 non-residents is
500.
975, I see. What? What is it?
I have 1,075.
Thousands,
Yeah,
Okay, all right, ready? I'm gonna add it one more time.
That's right.
1,075, yes,
All right,
yes.
regardless,
For the
Yes.
non-residents?
that's 20% of this $5,000.
Yes.
And so I guess I'm questioning
Oh, I'm looking at page.
taking non-residents.
Well, if you look at the fact that we charge a percentage higher, a 5% VIG, if you will, and over the long haul, it's good for us, I think. If I'm gonna have 60, last year it was 65-15, so those 15 to 20 non-residents last year paying a $25 or $30 surcharge means we break even. Right?
Why not charge 10%?
We could do that. It gets to a point where it becomes such that then they don't register. I think we're at an economy right now where raising the rates this year, and we certainly did raise them marginally for our programs. Raising the rates this year, we felt like was gonna be an iffy thing, you know? We've got some great news from the school with the feeding program and being able to supply our families with breakfast and lunch, but I see your point in that we're not getting what we originally hoped we would get by allowing non-residents, and I would entertain it certainly for some of our programs, but I'd have a real hard time saying, no, I don't want you to be able to play basketball with us, when it's only, it's the $35 fee against the $30 fee, you know?
Well,
The
I
big
guess I
ones-
just feel that it's taxpayer money,
Yep.
and the town should not be supporting people who don't pay taxes.
I agree, I agree.
I think a lot of Parks and Recs programs, though, statewide offer non-resident participation as long as they're paying some kind of a surcharge. So I don't think we're unique by any stretch of,
No, I don't either, but I don't know if 5%'s enough, in my own opinion. So I'm bringing it up.
It might not be, it might not be. I think where we were last year, and we have these conversations in November and December. You know, we need to set our prices for next year. We'll talk in the committee meeting about that. And certainly the big, Funergy is all resident, so that's not worth talking about. Day camp and teen camp are really the only two that we have that breakdown of, all right, we're gonna have a resident rate of $550, we're gonna have a non-resident rate of $575, and that's just for one child. When it goes up to a family with 2 children, the surcharge goes up, and on the occasional family that has 3 children, the surcharge is even higher. So I think with the way we came out of our last fiscal year and the economy being such that we felt, and it probably made sense to kind of toe the line, I think, David, I'd like to revisit this in November, see where we're at fiscally and financially with regard to department revenues, see how the economy's doing, and then make, and I've done a lot of research this year with regard to what Camp Laughing Loon is charging, what the Y Camp over at Bunganut is charging, what Arundel Rec is charging, and where we've always been about the cheapest, but we're creeping up there, and that's probably where we should be. We don't have to be the cheapest if we're getting ourselves in situations where we're really, really having a load of stress put on us to see, all right, we gotta balance the books, we got 9 weeks left, we're looking at every penny, et cetera. So I'd love to revisit that, David, and when we turn the corner into the next fall. Certainly you know the department as well as anybody.
Mike, going back to this list.
Yep.
How many of these outstanding balances are folks that are no longer involved in Parks and Recs programs?
Well, all of the Funergy still are, certainly, and one of the teen camper is enrolled, the lowest teen camper individual is enrolled for next year's teen camp, which starts in a month. So I guess the answer is the 2 teen campers that I have on here have not been very responsive to what's going on, and then the third name on the list here, or the third from the top,
That one that you
is
have in.
currently just enrolled in Funergy on an emergency basis. Called us up, I have a problem, I just got a job, I really need assistance, can I put you in? Can I get into Funergy? And I said, yeah, come on in. You know that you still have a small balance left over. You know that you have a small balance left over from last summer. Yes, I do, I want to clear that up. And again, the amount's only $125.
All right, I'll stop you there. That was more answer than I needed, thank
Okay,
you.
I'm sorry.
So Nancy, what can we do about collection on these outstanding balances? I mean, it seems like Mike has made some effort to collect them. We obviously have some that are non-responsive, and these are fees that we need to collect.
We can send a request letter, and if that doesn't work, then maybe we can have a little talk with Sean.
Have what?
Talk with Sean, our contract deputy.
Well,
Can you tie this into property tax?
no.
No.
Is there any understanding that non-payment results in non-attending?
Oh, it should be. If any of these listed in here that are unpaid.
I can't let them enroll. I can't let them enroll.
So
Well, they're enrolled now, aren't they?
No, they're not. If you look at if you look at everything, David, before the last 5 on the list, Funergy, everything on the bottom 5, if you read my notes, really they're not enrolled. The day camp and the teen camp ends at the end of August. So these folks have been lugging balances through August despite my efforts to get payment. And I have had a couple of payments sporadically made from a few of them. The Funergy piece is ongoing. If you look at my notes, one of them says drop Funergy Friday. There was an issue there. I mentioned it at the last meeting without getting specific on names. If you look at the notes, you can see what's taking place. On a quick glance, I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I believe, and I think Nancy, we spoke a little bit about this, I believe that 7 of these I'm confident are going to have to pay us because, number one, they know it, number two, they're trying to enroll again. There's 4 that I have a concern on that we may never see the money from, and the total for that amount ends up being, looks like about $1,100 that I have a concern that we may not see. So if you said 1,100 we may not collect, and then 4,100 we are in payment plans and expecting to collect on, out of a total of, say, $150,000 in revenues, that means we lost 0.8% of our income to non-payment. I think in any business model, you're not happy about it, but you have to accept it.
But it's, no, I think
Well, you
we
do
still
everything-
need to make some effort.
Absolutely. We can send them letters, and I don't know if Sean can get involved. Nancy would know better than that. But I think perhaps the
As
best
the
thing
last
is,
resort, we can,
So Nancy, can you work on coming up with a plan for collections?
we are supposed to meet on Friday to organize, do a little reorganization of our account balances too, so maybe we can fit half an hour of that in, and we can get more specific with this.
I don't think Sean is gonna be a debt collector.
Sean doesn't want
To
to
go to
give,
small claims.
Sean's not gonna be happy if I give him more work, but,
No, I don't even think that he can do that.
well, he goes and knocks on doors when there's bounced checks here.
Yeah,
That's
bounce
different.
checks is
Oh.
entirely
It's a
different. That's
violation.
that's
we
in our
have,
criminal
we
code.
have used them for people who have not returned books either to the library.
Yeah, you can have an issue there that
Catching
may
a ride.
constitute theft or theft of services, but I don't think that this is, that realistically, they should have a statement of claim filed against them and they go to court if they don't want to pay.
I think the motion, I think.
And I think one of the concerns I have is the same as David. I don't think that the taxpayers of Waterboro should be funding or subsidizing non-resident people. I have a hard time with that. And I know that, as you know, some have said, that it's not unusual to have non-residents in the program, but there's got to be a mechanism here where we take care of these people, because I don't want the taxpayers subsidizing
Could be
that.
payment in advance.
Yeah, payment in
Yeah.
full.
Yeah, yeah.
And-
Anybody, certainly that's another thing that we need to do, and I like to do, and I try to do always, when I have somebody that's been habitually late or in a difficulty, you have to get payment in full. And I've been very strict so far this enrollment season with, I have to have payment in full by June 30th. I can't lug this in the next fiscal year. We had a terrible year last year. We had a little bit of a problem making sure we were gonna be able to balance our books this year. And I think the word's out on the street that they know that, and everybody's making every effort to pay, so.
Nancy?
Well, I'll get with him Friday. I had a
Yeah,
couple
this-
questions on this.
On some of these, they go back, 8, 10 months.
Yeah.
Now, it would seem to me that if they're making an effort, they could come in and, even if it's only $5 or $10, if they're making some continuous effort to work that down, but it appears as though it looks like they're just ignoring this.
Yeah.
For one reason or another.
Yeah.
And,
The good news is if you factor in that we take in 2,000 registrations per year, and that 10% of them are non-resident, and I've got 3 non-residents listed on this, we're doing pretty good.
yeah, I didn't say that you weren't, but
Yeah.
I'm just,
But when you have a whole bunch of bills, you're gonna pay the one when the electricity possibly is going off. That's gonna be your one.
That's how it is
Or
at
if
D'Angela's home.
your kids need to be in daycare of some sort, you're gonna have to pay that one if the daycare is gonna get shut on. But if it's a teen camp or something like that, and the only issue is getting into next teen camp, if you want them back in there, then you're gonna pay off the bill. If you don't, you put it on the back burner, and you pay the other ones first.
It is a luxury, though. It's a luxury to be able to go to camp. Camp's very, very popular. Certain that the kids are at the house going, we want to do this, we want to do this, we want to do this. And I think the motion and the acceptance of it takes a lot of pressure off the department. I do appreciate it.
All right, great,
Thank you.
thanks.
Did we vote on that?
Yep,
yeah.
we did. All right, next.
See you at baseball.
What?
See you at baseball.
Oh, we just got great news, if I could.
You
With
had
some
to
more time.
encourage him to say more.
The Little League has asked if we could run the girls softball tournament of the all-star portion of girls softball at the Lions Field this year. So that's gonna be a good thing for the town. Looks like 9 different towns will have entries. Waterboro would be one, well, Shaker Valley would be one of them, and all Waterboro girls, basically. So that'll bring in a lot of out-of-town traffic, good for business, eating at our restaurants and so forth. Lions Field's in good shape. The men's softball league is doing a very nice job for us, helping us fix all the lights, fix the well, extending the fence, doing some other field repairs that we're excited about, and it looks like that's gonna start on June 19th. Thank you.
Is that
Thanks,
the tournament? When is the tournament?
The tournament's gonna begin on June 19th. I believe it's a Sunday. There'll be games all day down there, and then there'll be one game each weeknight through the next week, and then there'll be games all day Saturday. And the tournament probably would wrap up the next Saturday, the 25th. If it needs to go into the next Sunday, it will. So the men's softball league will have to take a little bit of a break in there, but they've been really good to us too. All right?
All right,
Thank you.
thanks, Mike. All right, moving on to new business. 7, discuss vote town meeting warrant. So we have the warrant. Just kind of going over, for public information, a few things in the warrant.
I gave it to you last week.
We had
Okay,
it, we got it
I didn't
last
know if
week.
there's any changes
One.
from
There's
the
no,
finance
excuse me,
committee.
the only one change is that move the LD one to the,
Okay.
to the last.
So Article 6, we did put in the budget this year for a municipal truck lease, and that's just about $9,600. We do not have a truck for the road commissioner and whatnot to use, so that incorporates that. And then Article,
The truck's not for the road commissioner.
no, it's for the roads department. Road, yeah. That connects to Article 12. We have $9,000 built into the budget, Article 12 for plowing of the parking lots, but if we have Article 6 pass with the purchase of a truck for the road department, then we'll be able to eliminate that $9,000 out of Article 12. And the Finance Committee made the recommendation that goes along with the $9,000 to come out if that passes. We do have Article 19 this year refers to a new department, the Planning Department, and that's just based on some restructuring that we're doing here. So if you've looked at this and you've never seen the Planning Department in the warrant before, that's what that's about. For CIP projects this year, the only 2 that we're looking at would be adding a new boiler to Central Station and the library windows, and that would be Article 27.
And that includes the extra ditching also.
Yep, 60,000 like we've done for the past few years.
Okay, would you, for 60,000 for what?
The additional ditching that the
Okay,
road review
right,
committee puts
yeah,
in for.
right.
Article 33 would be for the York County Community Action, York County Shelters, Southern Maine Area Agency on Aging, and the York County Food Shelter for $8,400. The Finance Committee made a recommendation on that article for 0 for those, but for $5,000 from surplus to go to general assistance for the Secret Santa Fund. And we have an LD1 override this year. It'll be the last article, and the LD1 override will be $1,400,000.
No.
No,
No.
that's $314,427,000 for the LD1 override. The Finance Committee met last night, and their recommendation is that the LD1 override pass as well.
And the
So-
LD1 override is how much, I mean, includes what we overrode last year, okay, to some extent, right? So what is the delta between what we had enacted last year versus this year?
I don't have last year's
I don't
total.
have last year's either. It's on
About
my,
100, it's about 100 grand?
yeah.
We ought to at least clarify that, so.
Maybe we can include that on our handout. That goes in. So for a total overall budget, we're looking at a budget of $3,920,395, which is approximately a 1.9% increase over last year's budget, which was roughly $3,895,206. Also like to clarify, I've had a couple concerns expressed about an article that appeared in the Reporter last week that indicated that there were some raises for city administrator, fire chief, and the librarian. Those raises were 10 cents, 20 cents, and it was to round up those positions for budgeting purposes only. And there were also some longevity steps for some contracted employees. Those are union contract issues. But there are no big no big raises for fire chiefs and town administrator and the library.
That would be a good thing in the description, all those kind of rumor type things.
Yeah.
that
It would
we,
be a good thing to get a
that we-
reporter that could get the story straight.
And the reporter was supposed to print a correction in this edition of the reporter.
Specify that it's 10 cents, not 10 cents an hour, because that was another.
Oh,
Yeah, it rounded up. I mean, 10 cents a year raise equates to how many millipennies a month, you
Don't spend
know?
that all in one place, David.
Yeah.
Speaking of him speaking over there, but don't we have an article in there that they may not have seen before regarding the IT department as well?
No, we've had
No.
the
Oh, we
idea.
had
had
that
the
la-
IT.
We had that
Yep.
last year? Okay.
The additional ditching has always been a separate article for some reason, so this year it just incorporated into the regular CIP article.
So with that,
I'd move that we accept the warrant and as presented to the townspeople.
is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Go back to the issue involving helping to subsidize some social, not social groups, but
Agency.
assisted
The
groups.
agencies?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
What is our proposal that we're going to go forward with? Is it the agencies or is it this Santa?
Our proposal is $3,500 to York County Community Action.
I don't need the individual breakdown, just what are we going forward with?
Our proposal was $8,400 to those agencies.
Okay.
The Finance Committee recommendation is $0, but $5,000 to the
local.
General Assistant, so Secret Santa.
So how would that be voted on?
It's going to get,
Would that be-
presumably, someone will make a motion for either the Selectmen's recommendation or the Finance Committee recommendation.
And it's less than the amount that we propose, so they can
So-
make
so
that
the-
recommendation.
And someone.
I just
certainly
wanted to know the mechanics of how that was going to be done, because I personally am not in favor of that. I think that there are programs, to a certain extent, we have a duty, I think, as a town, to provide some types of assistance to the citizens. And I think that we have been extremely frugal on those that we've elected to support. There are people in this town that use the medical and dental services of, some of the clinics. There's elderly that rely on certain programs that, we've looked at. And I'm just opposed to having those removed in favor of supplying funds to a program that is operated exceptionally well through private donations from area businesses.
You'll be able to make that
And
argument again.
I would be surprised if the moderator would allow it because it's beyond the scope of the article.
All right, that's fine.
All right,
Just wanted my opinion out there.
very good. So we have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Opposed?
Write that down, 'cause you'll be
All
able to
right.
make it again.
Next, discuss vote to make transfers per the audit request. We are still in the process of going through the audit for the last fiscal year. We've been going back and forth with the auditor. Nancy provided us with a list this week of transfers that need to be made. Somewhere in here. We all have the list.
I printed off one in case you
You got- So do we need to go through these one by one?
No,
No.
I'd move that we make we recommend that we take the action presented by Nancy or by the town administrator.
Second?
Second.
Discussion.
Okay, can you explain to the public and me what transfer means?
Okay.
Yeah.
In order to bring, within our scope is to transfer funds from one department to another to help balance the books. And with the audit being, as they're working on the audit, there are funds in some departments that were unexpended that we can move to other departments to help balance those departments. We have the list that was provided that moves from one department to another.
Doesn't increase or decrease the bottom line. All it
No, I
does
know.
is-
Is there, and this is just an information question for me, is there historic pattern that some departments are always overextended while others are not in this town?
I can only speak for, the years I've been on the board,
I
there's
think
probably,
my opinion, David, I'm not sure I have a yes or no answer to, I think historically in the past, there were always departments that had budgets that had some cushion in them, all right? Today, I think in the last 2-3 budgets that we've had where we've really squeezed everybody to the final dollar, right? That now we're on that kind of hairy edge where if there is a $1,000 glitch in a department or in a line item, you see that as an overdraft, right, for that line item. There might be a savings somewhere else, but I don't think you see the wild swings like we used to see, where someone had $100,000 left in an account and somebody else was over. I think what we've done with squeezing this, orange, I think as much as we can squeeze it, is that we are on a very tight budget that has to be managed more effectively, right? We've talked about that in various meetings. And I also think that we have to make sure that we have all of the accounting and everything else has to be very, very accurate and up to date. We cannot allow a month or 2 or 3 months to go by without reconciliations and those kind of things. So I think we're in that mode, and it's like we're budgeting 18 months in advance. When we're now down to the final analysis, and I think we'll win some, we're going to lose some, but we're not going to win them by, oh gee, we saved $100,000 in that account, right? I think it's going to be very, very tight in a lot of accounts. When we're budgeting to the dollar on insurance and on those kind of things, if there's a glitch,
yeah, throw in some insurance increase, which we saw last year.
And
Or somebody that didn't sign on for insurance mid-year taking insurance, that threw us off in one
Decrease
department.
in revenue sharings in the mid-year.
Yep.
So I think, I'm not sure that answered your question.
No, I
David.
think in the past, I remember looking in the past, in some years, sometimes the roads have not done a project, and there's been extra money there. And sometimes the transfer station has gone through had budgeted a certain way, and there's a chunk there. It's usually in the big departments, whether it be fire and rescue or the transfer station or the roads. But oftentimes, that's one of those departments has been underspent. But
Well, I guess what I'm looking at is, okay, do we need to look at certain departments that have a tendency to spend everything or overspend?
yeah.
I think we're going to be doing that with the policy that we implemented a couple weeks ago with our quarterly reviews, where the department heads have to stand here and be accountable to us and do the worksheets, I think that that's going to improve our oversight as the year goes along and hopefully alleviate problems of if there's any departments that typically overspend.
I just don't see that there's gonna be a lot of cushion. And I mean, we're holding everybody, and I think we need to make sure and hold people more accountable. I think my issue with all of this, and here we are almost a year after we closed the last books, and we still haven't got complete resolution with an auditor. Some of that certainly is the municipality's fault because we weren't ready, all right? We hadn't even reconciled books at the end of the year, and that's a shame on us, okay? So we need to make sure that those kind of things happen in a timely manner and people are held accountable to that. And, you know, for the five of us to sit here and try to look back and say, well, we shoulda, coulda, woulda, you know, 10 months or so after the fact, it's crazy, you know.
No, but I think it does help to look back and say,
I
okay, we have
agree,
taken
I
some
agree.
steps, and the
Yep.
public should understand that we are working on that.
And the way we do budgeting now is, not too long ago, when the department heads put in a budget, they just increased it by a certain percent from the year before, so, you know, a lot of them at that point had, you know, pretty good surplus in their accounts at the end of the year. Now it's not like that. Now it's like, when they get this time of year, it's like they gotta make the decision, do I really, really need this? Because you don't know what you're gonna have for, I mean,
Unexpected.
you know, I mean, look at our heating costs. I mean, they've gone through the roof that we didn't expect, so.
I think the issue is as we get closer to this, and again, part of this policy is in Nancy and Julie and the department heads are gonna be held accountable for the fact that we don't, you know, we're gonna be on the edge, and the flag has to go up immediately if we have those kind of issues. We can't, you know, it can't be while you're headed to report, okay? If the only safety stop is a selectman catching a financial report that's 2 weeks beyond the thing, that's too late. So,
And what you just voted on is not any different than what is done during the audit. It's usually done in the beginning of the audit, but we just didn't get them until last month or so.
Yeah, I don't question, you know, that's the same thing that we probably would have done anyway. But the question that was posed to me was, why has it taken us 10 months to reconcile the books? And I just didn't have an answer, you know, to that person, other than we haven't got a report back from the auditors. But, you know, it's like Dennis said, you know, we've got to be more cognizant of those things so that it doesn't get to this point. Otherwise, you know, this whole board has a black eye.
I think there's certainly the delay is partly the town's fault, because we were not ready for the auditor, right? The auditor helped participate with us as we voted
Yep.
to help reconcile books, right? There is what we discussed, and John and myself and Nancy and Julie were there that day, that we need to put something on the auditor, whomever that may be, that says this is the date that we expect. We will have all the data to you on this date. We're gonna give you X amount of days to get us a report, all right? But the first piece of that is us. We have to say that you will have all the sufficient data by a date. And then the timeline will be, you have 30 days, 60 days, whatever that date is, to give us a draft report. Not, you know, kind of like go back and forth, or gee, we sent you something, but you didn't respond, and there's a lot of, you know, it's too easy to say, well, we sent you a draft.
Don't some towns have an agreement that if the town does not supply the information on a certain date, they are penalized, and if the auditor doesn't,
I'm sure
we're
that
penalized.
could be.
They're penalized.
Right, I think if you're gonna hold an auditor's feet to the fire, to say, by the 15th of November, we expect a finalized audit report, all right? And I'm just using that as a fictitious date. Then that auditor has, I think, the right to come back and say, if you want it done by that date, I need the data by this date,
Right.
right? So, you know, I think, but we have to impose that date. I think we have, going forward, we have to impose a date that says, you don't have forever to do this, right? But we gotta look in the mirror when we do that, because, you know, a lot of that is on us to make
Yeah,
sure that gets
It's
done.
a two-way street, you know?
That's right.
Yeah, and people ask that question and say, well, and we say, well, the auditor hasn't gotten the report. And that's, you know, that's it. And then they ask the question again, but why haven't you gotten the audit? Because you haven't gotten this report. But I asked you again,
Yeah,
you
why?
know, and it really gets down to kind of being a little bit embarrassed in our own system here, is that we are all responsible. And going down back through our system, we're responsible for getting the information there in a timely manner, and then holding the auditor to the timeline. And I think we're going to do that this year.
Okay.
Don't want to go this way again.
All right, moving on, old business. We didn't vote. Okay, there was a motion and a second, though. All those in favor of the transfers? Okay, now we have a vote. Moving on, old business, EcoMaine Rep. We need to find somebody to serve as our EcoMaine representative. David, you were going to maybe
I
come
haven't
up?
found anybody that's interested.
Dennis, you were going to attend meetings in the interim?
Yeah, I guess if nothing else, I'll get on the mailing list and whatnot until we can find somebody. And I mean, somebody's got to carry our vote, I guess, there, right? So, yeah. Huh?
You want me to prepare appointment papers?
I guess I would say it's an interim.
You may-
Well, that's right, I guess you're right. You can't vote unless you get the papers, so.
Okay, so we'll have those papers next week.
Committee appointment for next week.
All right.
Interim committee appointment.
Next on the agenda is a follow-up on the transfer station project. I just want to comment a little bit before we get into this discussion. I've had a couple people comment on, here's another project that the selectmen screwed up. And I want to say that this isn't necessarily that the board made an error here. We thought we were doing the right thing in hiring an engineer to plan out this project, oversee the project to make sure that it was done correctly. And when the project was completed, we found out that there was a flaw with the engineering based on the trucks backing up to the hopper, the new recycling compactor, and not being able to dump. So we've had to make some adjustments, and we've certainly had some struggles with those adjustments, and we've had, Sebago Tech's in here a couple of times to discuss it. We've met down at the transfer station a couple of times. So I wanted to throw that out there. We're trying to do the right thing, and it hasn't worked out great for us, but it certainly isn't because we were not going about this properly. Now, we had David that's kind of overseeing what's going on down there. We had Owen here last week looking for some funding from Sebago Techniques, and he was going to do some follow-up with Nancy, so,
I haven't heard anything from him.
okay. David?
I think they're on vacation.
Are they closed this week?
It's okay.
To Waterboro calls?
I talked with Clint about his concerns about the cow catcher ram angle, and that is to be corrected. I gave him direction to go ahead and have that corrected by Lucas. And the space between the compactor and the retaining wall, I believe, has like an inch gap in it, and stuff can fall down in there. And that is to be corrected with probably a steel plate just filling in that space so that trash or recycled material, papers primarily, is not filtering down between the retaining wall and the compactor hopper itself.
That'll keep water out too? Because wasn't Clint concerned about some freezing?
I think he was concerned about the debris freezing.
Yeah, that was the debris below,
Yeah.
where it dropped down, that was my impression.
So those are the only two concerns that I believe is stopping that from being A-OK finished. As it is.
Oh, Nancy lost a contact.
Don't anybody jump up and down.
Yeah, don't let anybody move.
All right, anything else on that? So we'll just have Nancy follow up with a phone call to Owen and find out
Yeah.
where we are with
Clint
that.
said that when the truck dumped, it worked great, just as those two issues were a concern. So,
I think Nancy needs to follow up with Walt.
oh, yeah, yeah, I mean, it's,
Walt's going to make the decision.
Okay. Other, entertain a motion to sign warrants for bills and payroll.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor? We have the minutes from 4:26 and 5:10.
so moved.
So moved.
So move second.
Second.
All those in favor?
I passed on 426, because it wasn't here.
That's why I was looking over to see who made the motion.
Vote for,
So you'll abstain from 4 to 6 and approve 5:10. All right. Pending decisions, public service announcements, performance bonds, committee self-evals, the week's action list. We'll need to do some follow-up on the tower in June. Patty's going to take care of getting out a letter on the Bornstein. We have the liquor license renewals, don't forget to sign those so we can take care of getting those out. Nancy will work on the outstanding balances. Discussion of agenda items.
To place on the agenda, the liquor license application for Woody's.
Well, that'll be if we obtain it, if we get it, and Pam will
Yeah.
automatically put it on there.
All right.
Yeah, I can't until inspections are done. And I have a question about that, because he's changed the name of the restaurant. Do we need to start all over again and have a public hearing?
I asked that question, but it's under the,
So it's under his LLC.
Oh,
so that's how the application was made. So.
Next week, next Tuesday night is the RSU budget meeting at 7 o'clock, so I'm hoping we can keep the agenda light so we can get out of here and get over to that budget meeting like we've done in years past.
Don't invite Mike.
Yeah.
We'll lock the door.
Or Tom.
We've got the ATV club that's going to be coming in regarding their municipal grant. Hopefully Fred will get some numbers to us regarding the sidewalk sweeper. If we don't have that next week, we can put that the following week.
Could we get an update on the personal tax collection in 2 weeks, maybe?
Okay, we'll do that in June. Who do we have next week for?
The school is
It
on,
was
right?
supposed to be RSU.
We've got the RSU 57. I'm gonna bet that they're,
Well, she said she could come in, but she would have to be out of here quickly to get down to the meeting, and I know I had discussed it.
I'd rather she not come in.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, we shouldn't try to.
Her off on another week, and
Yep.
She can at least report on what happens at the meeting.
Since it was something that big, no sense in rushing.
Yeah. All right. Items needing signature, warrants for bills and payrolls, minutes, concealed weapon application, and the town meeting warrant. Reminders, Wednesday, May 18th, 7 PM, the planning board here at the Town Hall Annex. Thursday, May 19th, 4 PM is the Economic Development Committee at the Town Hall Annex. Thursday, May 19th, 6:30 PM is the Garden Club. This Thursday, we also have Candidates Night at 7 PM here at the Annex. Monday, May 23rd, 7 PM, the Transfer Station Recycling Committee at the Town Hall. Tuesday, May 24th, 6 PM, Selectmen's meeting at the Town Hall Annex. And also on Tuesday, May 24th, 7 PM, is the RSU 57 vote at the Mass Basic Middle School cafeteria. And on Tuesday, May 24th, at 6 PM, the Assessing Board of Review is meeting at the...
Actually, since we started the meeting, that moved to the 31st.
Okay, so that's that. I also did just get an email from Aaron Libby. It says real quick, unfortunately, I'm still in committee and won't be able to attend tonight, but there are a couple of issues that I want to pass along. First being the proposed budget cut on MPBN from the governor's change package. Currently, 19% of MPBN's budget is paid by the state of Maine, approximately $2 million per year. This is a proposal and may look entirely different when the budget vote is taken. This is just one of the many proposals the Appropriation Committee is discussing. If there is an MPBN budget cut, I would support a phased-in approach instead of a one-time cut. Second is LD 1333, an act to modify rating practices for individual and small group health plans and to encourage value-based purchasing of health care services, was signed by the governor today. In short, this health care reform will allow more plan choices and allow for purchases over state lines. I apologize for the short explanations, wish I could address these in person, but if anyone has any questions, please feel free to contact me. Thanks, Aaron. So with that, would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor? Good night.